was just walking out here to look at Scott's garden, his watermelon and corn patch. And look what I came across. Hello, darling. What are you doing out here? And the cat is also going to investigate. What do you think, Ashes? This is not the introduction I had planned. Oh, Ashes. And now Crookshanks is coming too. He wants to see what's up. What could it be? The little turtle. He's gonna go in his shell because you're bothering him. What's that little turtle doing? Well, tortoise. Okay, now that we've already started with a weird introduction that was not planned, I'm just gonna lean into it and I'm gonna film this introduction with my eastern box turtle. This is our state reptile here in North Carolina, and I actually have a fondness for this animal because it was the first wild animal that we saw on our property when we were touring this with our realtor. This has been over 2 years ago. So since it was the first animal that we saw in its natural element down by the creek, we were like, oh my goodness, we really are in the country. Like, the kids get to grow up watching all this really neat nature all around them. So this is kind of neat to see my little buddy. And obviously the cats have scared him into his little shell. But anyhow, I want to take you into the garden where Scott has really taken over. When we first cut ground on the garden that I'm about to show you, we did pumpkins. We did pumpkins for 2 seasons, I want to say. And although it's really fun, pumpkins, we don't eat a lot of pumpkins. They were very decorative. We didn't sell them. We kind of gave them away or we used them. Now we ate a few, and then the ones after we were done decorating, we gave them to the goats and the horses because they love pumpkin. But it was a losing battle with the vine borers and the squash bugs. And we kind of thought to ourselves, do we want to keep having to use insecticides, both natural, organic, and synthetic, which I know a lot of people have a problem with synthetic insecticides because they feel like it's not very safe. But unpopular opinion, apparently, because I've shared this on Facebook and it got a lot of negative comments about it, but no insecticide is safe. If it was truly safe for everybody involved, then it wouldn't kill any bugs. It is designed to kill. And so just because it's organic does not mean it's safe. And so I kind of draw the line in the sand and just say, you know, just because it's a synthetic chemical does not mean it's bad. And just because it's organic does not mean it's safe. Uranium is organic. Poison ivy is organic. Those things are not good for us. So I digress. But we were using so much pesticides to try to get ahead of the vine borers, and then still overnight they could come and absolutely decimate your entire crop. It's not like you lost one pumpkin, you lost 12 pumpkins because the vine was decimated by the vine borer. I felt like the benefit of raising a bunch of pumpkins just for decoration just was not worth all the money we were pouring into pesticides. So we switched to watermelons, and this year we had a ton of rain. I know a lot of the southeast just got completely drowned out by a ton of rain. So we planted once, it was washed away, we planted again. So we've got a very late crop, which kind of stinks because usually we like to time a harvest with farm camp so that the kids can enjoy going out and picking a watermelon and taking it home. Last year we kept sending kids home with watermelons. It was so wonderful. That's not going to happen this year because of the rain. It just delayed planting. Scott really poured himself into this, and I've always wanted him to get just as into the farm as I am. He has a full-time job. This whole farm was for me. We came out here as a means of healing for me, but he really, I'm loving seeing this side of him because we had plenty of watermelons planted, and he said, I want to see some corn come up. So he went and he researched, and he has no background gardening. He knows nothing. So he researched different types of corn. He bought them, he planted them, he researched the spacing on them, and he has been keeping up with fertilizing them. And I mean, we don't have machines, we don't have tractors, we don't have anything to help us planting. So everything that's fertilized, he's out there with his watering can. And when he's weeding, he's out there, you know, just pulling weeds by hand. Oh, 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 he's getting brave. Are you getting brave, buddy? Yes, you are. No, don't hide. You're so cute. Aren't you just cute? Do you like back rubs? I just feel like if I was a turtle, I would want somebody to scratch my back. Anyhow, I'm talking and talking a whole bunch. Let me take you into the garden and kind of show you what he's been working on. Are you coming too, Shelly? I'm just gonna move you, okay? Where would you like to go? Where would you like to go? I bet you would love to live in a garden. What about this garden? What about this garden? Tell me if you eat roses, because honestly, you're so cute. I would allow it. Do you want to smell the rose? Can I get some feedback? I've been working hard on this one. Not a fan? That's okay. What about Nepeta? It smells really good. Okay, that's okay. You can be shy. I'm just gonna nestle you up here under the roses. Cause you're so cute. You know what's not cute? These little cuss words. Squish, squish. Yeah, don't let the nails fool you. Ooh, as we're walking over here, it looks like the butterfly bush is kind of coming into her bloom. Just as a point of reference, that's my hand. Look how massive those blooms are. Just so pretty. The butterflies and the hummingbirds really love this garden. Okay, I'm distracted. Let's go on. The corn is right there. Here we go. So Scott has improved this fence. We were kind of struggling with the wire because we didn't install the electric fence on any of these posts that were supported. So now it's supported and we can hang this gate from it. This is obviously to keep the deer out. We don't have deer action right now, and so we've been a little bit careless about the fence, but now that I think about it, I'm gonna close it when I leave here. Now, here's the corn. How glorious is this field of corn? And it's just little. It's just for us. We might can it or freeze it if we have more than we had imagined. But, oh my goodness. Say psych right now. Why are you so early? Like, what's happening? Growth hormones? Bless. He's got 3 different varieties, which is kind of hard to tell the difference at this point. Obviously, there's no kernels to look at. But these 2 rows right here are actually glass gem. You may know it as Indian corn. It makes a really good ground cornmeal. We can make tortilla chips out of it. Because you know there's corn that's meant to be dried. Oop, this needs some water. Speaking of being dry, you need some water. There's some that makes really good cornmeal, some that is very sweet and is very good raw. Ooh, she is struggling. We need a lot more water down here. And then he's got, I think it's called Early Glow. We've got an early corn that's coming in through here. It's very sweet. It's on the white side. It's not that bright yellow that you're familiar with, maybe from the grocery store. And then there's another kind. I forget the name of it. But, ooh, the sun is peeking through the trees ever so nicely. Let's just take a little ASMR tour. It's getting taller. Here we go. Now we've got something interesting over here. Let me turn the camera around. So like I said earlier, he's got a few different varieties going on. They're going to mature at different rates just based on its cultivar. But look right here. This was planted at the same time everything else was. And even though it's a different variety, it should definitely be a lot closer to this size. We've got a unique situation right here. We've been watching it for a couple of years because whatever we have planted here has always struggled. And that is because this used to be a gravel driveway. And so this earth right here that we're standing on is very rocky, obviously, if it used to be gravel. But you can see that red gate right there, that used to come directly here. And then right through here, somebody had a small like campsite set up here with a trailer park. There's a septic tank, there's a well over there, and this was how they got here. This is when cows were on this land. And so we can definitely still feel the effects of the gravel. This year, after fall, towards the end of fall, we are going to bring in dump trucks full of compost. We're going to roll up all the weed barrier, move it out of the way. We are going to absolutely saturate this place with compost. We don't make enough compost here for this big area where we're growing. We make a lot, but not enough for this big area. And we're just going to try to elevate the level of the soil a little bit, but we also need to restore nutrients to the ground, of course. And then we are going to plant buckwheat, and that's going to be our cover crop. And then in the spring, we will tamp it down, we will tarp it. That will decompose, turn back into fertilizer for the ground, and then we will see like a regenerative farming technique coming along. So that's why these are kind of sad. I'm kind of curious to see if they'll even produce. It's a good experiment one way or the other. Let's look at the watermelon. Now, what's crazy right here is this little baby watermelon coming up. I wonder if this is late to germinate compared to everything else. Oh, you know what? Scott did tell me he was going to come back through and put more seeds down. I'm sitting here thinking this is like a 20-day-old seed that's finally germinated. I bet he replanted. Well, I feel silly. But anyhow, this row did not do well germinating very well. So what we have here, you can see, is a ton of weeds. This is not a watermelon, unfortunately. And so in its place inside of our little holes, we had some weeds come up. Yeah, this must have just been planted. Look at him. He's just on top of it. He comes home and gets right to work. But look at the little baby. It's happening. A little baby. Oh my gosh. Look at the babiest baby. Look at his little garden. It's not little either. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, so this variety, I'll put it on the screen because I forgot what it was, but it was actually really expensive and it had a very poor germination. There's something kind of special about this one. That's not a watermelon plant. That's a weed that we need to come in here and pull. But very low germination. He had to come back and replant. There's another one. There's another one. So I think of all this row, only 2 watermelons germinated from this. But this one looks very promising. That's exciting. Does this have any babies on it? Let's take a look. Now's a really good time to stay on top of watering. Oh, look at the little. Stop it. That's so cute. That's the babiest watermelon I've ever seen. Couple more down there. He's got some babies coming in. And then in this gravel, he just decided to go for it and try it out. We're going to be really fighting the weeds on this one. So I told him not to do this, but he may be right. He's right about a lot of stuff. We shall see. Maybe we can have a contest. Who was right? But then these 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, are coming in stupendously. Absolutely beautiful. We've got almost full germination from these, and then some quite bigger babies. Look. Oh my gosh. This is so exciting. The kids at farm camp are going to love to see the progress of how these things grow. I wish the timing is right for them to take them home like last year, but we are at the mercy of our weather. Are we not? Trying to find some more little babies. These little bitty watermelons that are babies right here, we've got 2 different kinds. We've got the sugar bush, which is a very small watermelon. It's small enough for a child to pick and handle and carry around. And then we've got the crimson sweet. The crimson sweet is very famous. It's a very popular one to grow because it's so reliable. But they get massive. I mean, like we had a 20-pounder, maybe a 30-pounder. I'll have to go back and look at my notes in my garden journal. But anyhow, here is his garden. He has kept on top of this because I know you see weeds, but you should see how much work it takes to even control this small amount of weeds right here. So Scott's little watermelon and his corn patch. I keep calling it little. It's not little. The earth is feeding us and it's going to be wonderful. Let's go see how his fruit trees are going. I feel like I'm spying on him. Have you been fertilizing? Yes, he has, obviously. All right, so here's the orchard. So there's the corn. Watermelon is behind it. Right over here behind me, there's a slope that goes way down. It's funny how much the landscape can change in just a couple of seasons, because now where you're seeing bare earth, that was a row of cucumbers last year when we had landscape fabric down. And now we've just got fruit trees everywhere. So let me turn the camera around and show you. Now, in our last video, you saw us planting a few of these big fig trees. They're doing well. They had a little bit of transplant shock. They did lose some fruit and some leaves, but they've bounced back. They're doing well. I accidentally overwatered them, and that was a lesson to learn, because he was like, Christine, what'd you do? We had some fruit on here. Here's a little baby fig. Here's another baby fig right there. Ooh, they're just everywhere. Boom, boom. We don't expect these trees to do well this first year. The most important thing in a plant's first year is its root development. So we are paying careful attention to that and not expecting or demanding a huge harvest. But it would be cool if a few of these did fully develop and we could eat them. We love to dry figs and infuse them with honey. So these are doing well. These are brown turkey celestes. Oop, we've got a little bit of fruit drop here, and that's to be expected. That's not going to survive. That one's not going to survive. This one's at the start of it. That one's not going to survive. All of these are brown. I can just feel how easy it is to pluck these off. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them, take the pressure off the roots so that they don't have to keep sending energy up to a fruit that's just never going to mature. But like I said, that's expected. We don't want fruit. We want you guys to focus on your roots. Next year, however, expectations are high. And here's one more. I'm seeing some good promising fruit come off of this one. But I'm also seeing the effects of transplant shock. That's okay. That's normal. This is really cute. So Scott also planted some baby fig trees because the price was right. There's a row of them. Boom, 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 boom. And I feel like I'm telling on him, but he did run over one with the lawnmower tire. It's surviving. It just looks really sad this year. That's all. And then down here, we've got our peaches. So you can see with this slope, even with controlling it with weed barrier, this is just hard to garden on when you're using hand tools like a hoe and a spade. It's just very hard to come in here and take control. So here's a peach tree. What kind did he get? Contender. The contender. So I think all of these are contenders. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this area. Now here, this is a booger of a mess down here. We have delayed doing anything with this. We just simply don't have the time to dedicate to this. We need to rip up weed barrier and mow it. And that's just not going to happen this season. We are struggling to keep up with our normal responsibilities. This isn't hurting anything. So we're just going to let it be wild. Maybe the animals and the insects can enjoy this little slice of jungle, farm jungle heaven. But we're going to leave this alone for this year. We will expand the garden next year. Scott was asking me if 16 fig trees was enough. And I said, for an army, yes. And he's like, no, for our family, is that enough? And I was like, 1 fig tree is plenty. Like, that's so hard to keep up with and to do anything with. We actually really like dried figs. But he said, well, what are we going to do with all the extras? I like that he asked me that question after he had already dedicated to planting them all. But I think it's really fun to make a community event out of it. If we're not going to can it or freeze it or preserve it in some way, I think it's really fun to put something out on Facebook and say, y'all, we have an abundance of peaches. We have an abundance of figs. We have way too many apples. Come and get them. And then sit out here on our newly finished deck. Oh, I love it. Don't mind that mess over there. We're in the middle of construction in a few places. And then we sit out here and just enjoy some fellowship. I think it's really nice to have somewhere that you can invite people to join you and enjoy the fruits of your labor, literally the fruits of your labor. So anyway, I'm so proud of Scott. This is not his background at all, although his dad really has a nice garden. Scott was never into it as a kid. So I made a joke a long time ago about how there was that TV show, Farmer Wants a Wife. And I said, well, this wife wants a farmer. And so we did a Wife Wants a Farmer series. But really, he has turned into quite the proficient gardener. He's very knowledgeable, and he retains a lot of information when he sits down to learn it all. So there's his garden that he has taken over, and I'm glad to give it to him because it was not my favorite to garden on that slip. But that's all for today's video. Hopefully the next time we're at this location together, we will be harvesting a ton of watermelon and corn, and we'll be talking about the figs and the peaches. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.